All right, everybody, we're going to jump right into Unit 2, Lesson 4, Common Hazardous Road Conditions. Now, this looks like a pretty hazardous road conditions. I'm riding a street bike with street tires on a dirt road, and a monsoon is coming. We learned a little bit about not putting, going off-road, basically. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it, and let's talk about this. So the goal is for you rookies to be able to identify common hazardous road conditions and how to maneuver to safety or moving you to safety. So the main thing here is you see this gravel. This is in the middle of a turn in a residential neighborhood. Imagine not seeing this at night and bloop, dropping the bike. So we got to pay attention to it. We understand how to maneuver all these different things, okay? So rookies, you will be able to learn the different types of hazardous road conditions, and you'll be able to identify them and maneuver them. So this is a massive pothole. Do some damage to your rim, do the damage to your tire suspension and your cojones. Common hazardous road conditions. We got deer right here, Bambi's mom. Animals, small obstacles, night driving. Okay. And I say driving because riding sounds like you're just sitting on something. I like saying driving. We're driving it. Anyways, unsafe road conditions. What is that? Right? So large animals like this elk right here. So very large animals. Boom, we hit it. Law of gross tonnage plays an effect here. They're probably not going to move too far. You're going to be stuck. Sudden deceleration. Not a lot of good. So large animals such as moose, elk, or deer have a potential to cause devastating damage to you and your motorcycle. I care more about you. So instead of speeding up or slowing down to attempt to avoid them, because that's usually what you do with dogs, they come at you from the side because they're coming from a yard, you speed up and juke them, and they're like, oh crap, I got to adjust, and then you slow down, like, oh man, I got to adjust again, and then you just take off. Here, they're just going to sit there, and they're like, what? And boom, you hit them. So as soon as you are sure no other animals are waiting to cross the road, proceed. Okay, just simply stop and wait till they are clear of the road. Now, medium animals like this coyote, looking for that road runner, we have these all over the place here in southern Arizona. Love them. They're kind of cool, a little bit aggressive. Make sure you don't get bit. So if a dog ahead of you is getting close to your motorcycle's trajectory, once again, we're going to go ahead and slow down, downshift, adjust where we need to go, and then boom, accelerate. We're going to juke that dude. So here, though, sometimes they don't understand. Usually they're skittish, so as soon as they see you, they take off. Wild animals, hopefully they're not, too familiar with humans. Those ones actually want to stick around and say hi. Wild animals just want to take off. I never really had a problem with a coyote other than them running across, kind of like a deer. So small animals like this little guy, hey, how you doing? They run across your path and should be avoided if possible. But if you're not able to swerve or brake, prepare to go over them. Okay, you might get a little bit of blood and fur in your bike, but the main thing is that that's a tiny little thing, tiny little obstacle. It's going to squish a little bit. It's kind of gross, but it's better than slamming the brakes and crashing and that dude just takes off, or swerving and hitting a pole because you wanted to avoid that. Okay, think of it as a small little dirt pile. Just go over it. Try to avoid it, but don't put yourself in danger to avoid it. So crossing over obstacles. This is me crossing over a wood 2x4. It's kind of the same thing going over that small animal. So here's the thing. So sometimes going over a hazard is simply more practical than going around it. So imagine if this thing was going all the way across the road. You can't swerve around that. You have to go over it or stop in time, right? So when crossing obstacles, square your motorcycle and choose a path to travel that ensures that you will be perpendicular, not parallel, perpendicular. Where am I? As possible. Crossing an obstacle at an angle could result in your front tire slipping out from underneath you. So you have something here. Let's say it's even like this, and you're going like, oh, I'm just going to kind of skid across, fall over. So think of train tracks. Think of those, any of the tracks out on the road, little tram tracks. You don't want to go over it and just kind of get your tire inside of it and then try to go across. No, you want to go across perpendicular, just go over it. Okay, so stand slightly to keep from getting bucked off your motorcycle when you hit the object. So remember, you're going to hit that front end, and you feel it there, but that back end's going to hit you too. Your butt is attached to that. You don't have a suspension on your butt. You have suspension on your arms. On your butt, it's going to boom. It's going to knock you forward. So you slightly lift your butt up, so when it does hit, it's going to tap your butt. You're saying hi. Using your legs as that suspension. You want the point of contact with the lower end of your body to be your legs versus your butt. Okay. Make sure you have your hands on your grips, but off the brakes or clutch lever. You don't want to slam the brakes beforehand because remember, nose dives, you want it to actually go up and over, okay? Before crossing the obstacle, apply a small amount of throttle. Because once again, braking makes it go down. Throttle makes the front end go up a little bit. And that's kind of what you want. You kind of want it to get up and over versus down and hit. So apply a small amount of throttle, shift weight towards the rear of your motorcycle, and help the motorcycle cross the obstacle. So when you accelerate, like I said, it raises it up but shifts the weight to the rear. When you decelerate, it raises the back end up and shifts it to the front. So utilize that knowledge for crossing an obstacle. So night riding, very difficult to see, especially if you don't have a clear visor like this person. If it's a dark visor, it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's like wearing sunglasses at night. So watch the cars or vehicles in front of you. Even using the appropriate beams, wearing the appropriate gear, and driving at reasonable speeds, the night can obscure obstacles that would normally be easily visible. So if a car in front of you and you see their brake lights and they're like swerving or braking or doing some crazy stuff and you have a good space cushion, the reason why they're doing that, especially on a road like this, is because there's something in their way. They're making a decision on what to do, and they're probably terrible at it, but it's going to tell you ahead of time. You need to probably prepare for it. Cover those brakes, go into orange stage, be prepped and ready for anything. Unsafe road conditions. Name all of them. Crack sealant, wind, icy snow, muddy patches in the road, wet roads, cracked and worn down streets, uneven roads, dirt roads, gravel roads, and loose surfaces beat you. There's so many. There's so many different things. It really comes down to what is your skill level. What can you handle? If you feel uncomfortable in any of these areas, don't ride. Don't ride in heavy wind. Don't ride in the snow. Don't ride when it's raining. Okay? Don't ride in construction zones. So on highways, the tar that is used to seal cracks that don't warrant a full repair quite yet can melt and become sticky and slick. So crack sealant, you see the tar snakes. You usually hear that. Those things, especially in the heat, will get nice and gooey, and you get your tire in it, especially if it's a big enough crack, you get your tire in it, have an issue, okay? So try to avoid those as much as possible or go over them as perpendicular as possible. So that one right on that line in the middle, you don't want to ride on it. The one that's going across the lane, you can go right across it. Not a big deal, okay? If you see that this lane is nice and open and there's no crack sealant, but that lane is terrible, just move to this lane if it's safe to do so, okay? This right here, it's all screwy. You're going to hit bumps, you're going to hit cracks. Ugh, not good, not good. So just try to go over it nice and smooth. Don't do crazy shifting, crazy acceleration, crazy braking unless you have to. Just go over it like a normal day, okay? Just try to avoid it if you can. You know, maybe there's a better road out there. So dirt roads, gravel roads, and loose surfaces. All right, so dirt road. I'm on a street bike, street tires. Watch out for losing any traction. Remember, it's just going to slip out from underneath you. The asphalt is going to grab. It's sandpaper. Think of it as sandpaper. Once again, if you crash, sandpaper going across it. Ouch. Sandpaper, your tire, nice and malleable, especially when it's warm. It's going to get in there and it's going to get traction, okay? When you're out on here, now you have a lot of dirt and loose stuff preventing from that tire to grab that traction. So you have to go nice and smooth, nice and easy, not jerky movements. So make sure your acceleration, deceleration turns are taken smoother and more gradually so as to prevent a total traction loss. So what you do is you accelerate slower, you brake sooner and slower, you turn wider if you can. Icy, snowy, or muddy patches on roads. So when snow, rain, mud, or other elements are present, focus on small, smooth movements. Don't accelerate, lean, or brake abruptly. Same thing with gravel, but ice is way more slick, and sometimes you can't even see it. So understand that. And once again, when I said the tire is nice and warm, it'll grab in pretty good. Well, if it's super snowy, your tires could probably stay cold for a little bit. Got to watch out for that, okay? Just keep things slow and stable if you know going into a ride that ice on the road is likely. Take a car instead or stay home until it melts. I personally don't ride in snow. I'll just take a car. I have the luxury of taking a car, but if you have to, take it easy. Take it real easy. Wear full gear. Minimize this. Be a smart rider. Uneven roads. Whew. Especially in construction. We have it out here in Tucson all the time. Uneven roads. It's annoying. Some areas, especially in locations that expect heavy amounts of rainfall, have crowned roads, so they're kind of like this, so the water can run off the edges. Other roads, especially those on hills or in the mountains, may just have been paved at a slight angle. Be aware of the unique difficulties these roads may present and proceed with caution. Since they will make you feel like you're being pushed towards the roadside, adjust your input on the handlebars. So what that says is that it's going to be like, the uneven, like it's going to be higher one end, higher in the middle, and all that stuff. This is a very, very, very easy visual. So higher on one end, lower on the other. It's going to push you down to the other area. This is also a bump. It's also a road hazard in terms of almost like a pothole. You're going to hit something. So if you have a road that is pushing you off to the side, just be aware of it. That's going to be a little awkward. What you want to do is just kind of counterbalance it, counteract it. So if we're going to have to drop down in here, make sure you go over it as perpendicular as possible. If you're going to have to switch lanes, let's say you're passing somebody, which you shouldn't because it's double yellow, but you're going to get back on that lane. Make it an actual thing you're doing. You're not just like slowly getting over. You're going to just do it. Do it. Get over it. Get over that bump. Get over it. Go, 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 go. Get over the bump. Don't baby it. When it comes to that crowned area, it's not going to be too bad. Usually you don't have big issues with that. Wet roads. What do you think is going to be the biggest problem here, class? What do you think is going to be the biggest problem? Huh? Slippery. So just like gravel, just like ice, you're going to have a possibility of slipperiness, okay? If your tires are in good condition, usually you're not going to have a problem. Tires are actually really good and designed to handle stuff like this. So if you have no tread left, then you're going to have a problem. One big problem that there is that if you have any movement of water from side to side or anywhere, if it's actually free flowing, you can have a possibility of hydroplaning and getting up on top of the water and not the road itself and actually slide out from underneath you. Also, you have to watch out for any type of oils that come up, especially right after the rain. So about 30 minutes after it starts raining, the oil from cars, especially in intersections, will come up and kind of sit there. Oil is slick, so avoid as much as you possibly can. And that's why having that crowned on the road is pretty good, because once it starts raining, it's going to start going off to the sides. So if that's the case, maybe ride in the middle so that when it does fall off to the sides, you're not riding in it. You're riding at the beginning of that drainage part, okay? Watch out for this. You're going to have to watch out for, hypothermia, because you got wind and water. So you have a lot of other issues. Make sure you have full gear. Make sure you're paying attention. Loss of visibility. There's a lot that goes into this. One of the big things that people usually only think about is the road being slick. Wind can have a significant impact on your ride, and you should be aware of how crosswinds and gusts may affect your movement within your lane. Okay, so when you're doing that, if you're riding and a big gust of wind hits you to the next lane, hopefully that next lane is open and hopefully there's no oncoming traffic and it actually is a lane. Could be the edge of the mountain. Pay attention, focus, 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 especially around big curves, especially around semis. If they're blocking the wind, you're over here, you get in front of it, boom, you get a lot of wind hitting you. So when riding in steady high winds from the side, you will need to adjust your pressure on the hand grips. Strong gusts of wind may be encountered in the open and in the mountains, and may be strongest near the crown of a hill. Okay, so the earth is blocking the wind, boom, you get to the point where it's not anymore, hits you hard, you weren't prepared. So be prepared. You may also encounter gust, turbulence, or vacuum effect when you're in close proximity to large vehicles. Like I said, the semi, you got wind right there. So we just passed this right here, this little area, no wind inside that tunnel from side to side. All of a sudden we come out, boom, wind hits them. So if you have wind coming from this way, you might have to turn into the wind. Wind coming this way, you have to turn into the wind a little bit just to go straight. It's just like walking in the wind. Oh, there's a lot of wind. You're trying to walk straight, but you're having to lean into it. All right, so little coyotes. So hazardous conditions, class. What do you guys think? What hazardous conditions that we did not discuss here at this academy that you have in your area? Okay, I try to talk about large animals, medium animals, small animals that you can run over, not large ones, but small ones. Talked about ice, potholes. We talked about uneven roads. We talked about all these different things. What is it that you have in your area that's a little different? We have coyotes here. We have rabbits here. We don't have deer. We kind of talked a little bit about that. If you're not comfortable with riding in snow, but you're comfortable riding in the wind and in rain, that's fine. You don't have to ride in the snow. You don't have to ride in the rain. You can always pull off, especially with rain. Snow is going to be a little harder, but if all of a sudden you're riding and it's raining like crazy, pull off and just wait till it to go away if it's just a quick little burst of rain. If it's not, maybe wait for it to die down and just do small 5-minute segments at a time. Pull over. You might not be ready for it, and you might have to just park your bike and take like an Uber or a taxi to wherever it is you're going.